Welcome everybody to a new and improved edition of the Hoosier Life. Many thanks to Josh on the other end there for coming up with that awesome video intro. We seem so professional now, Josh. I love it. Great work with that. Hopefully we could take that places and make that a staple. And right out of the gates, Jason Sobel, just to keep you guys updated right now, for those of you that are watching live. The practice facility at the U.S. Open, due to the weather delay, is now open, and the players are expected to get back on the course at 2:10 p.m. He said, I'm assuming that's Eastern time. 30 minutes is standard delay for a weather. The standard time frame for a weather delay on the PGA Tour. So that's that. All right, we got that out of the way. We got the news out of the way. There we go, Josh. Now we're ready to go. We got a lot on our plate. What should we tackle first?
Let's talk about this U.S. Open. It's been a fun morning already with the Euros going on over across the pond in France. You got the U.S. Open going on in just outside of Pittsburgh at Oakmont. A lot going on this weekend. We've got a lot to tackle, but let's start with that U.S. Open right now.
All right, let's do it. So all eyes, I'm assuming, are going to be on Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy. If you haven't been watching the U.S. Open thus far today, Rory McIlroy on his ball has engraved, embedded, whatever verb you want to use there, US2, and that basically stands for U.S. Open number 2. He won it in 2011, and he's obviously chasing his second one this weekend at Oakmont, just outside Pittsburgh, like Josh said. So all eyes are on him. All eyes are on Spieth. It's going to be a busy weekend. Tiger's not there. He announced a couple days ago, about a week or two ago, that he would not be playing. So all eyes focused on those guys. Maybe Phil Mickelson, who I believe has 6 runner-up finishes in the U.S. Open without a win. So there's that. There's a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of weather today and this weekend. So it's going to be a busy weekend in the U.S. Open. And Josh, let's talk about who we have winning this first. I'll start off. I've got Jordan Spieth. I feel like there's no reason to bet against him. You look at his past 5 majors. He's got 3 wins, a top and 2 top 5 finishes, 1 runner-up. It's unbelievable what he's done, and just who he is on the golf course. And I'm going to go even a step further. And even if he doesn't win this, he won't be outside the top 5, and there's no way he's outside the top 10. Even if he doesn't win this, he's still young. But I have kind of this theory, if you will, on Jordan Spieth, that he will not only break but shatter Nicklaus's record. And I'm sure I'm not alone, but to justify all that hype, for those of you, and Josh, tell me if you agree or disagree on this, because this is just something I want to throw out there that we can debate. For those of you that follow Tiger and that love watching Tiger, and I love watching Tiger, and I still hope and pray he can get back out on the course, because golf is simply more exciting with Tiger Woods in the mix. But watching Tiger in his prime, when he just won everything, like Jordan Spieth is certainly on track to do now, they have a lot of the same mannerisms. And Jordan Spieth, he's talking to himself all the time, right before he hits, right after he hits. He's got his head down talking to himself, just kind of in that zone. And when I see Jordan Spieth on the course, I see Tiger. And it's not just skill set, because they have kind of different skill sets. Jordan Spieth, he looks like he's a high school student. He's tiny. He's whatever. Tiger Woods he's a big man, whatever. But when I see them do them, they are very similar people, and their mentality going into each round is the same. And I feel like they go about each round the exact same. The only thing that derailed Tiger was he pushed his body too far to try and build up too much muscle, and his personal life got in the way, and it just spun out of control. So if Jordan Spieth can control himself physically and personally, I see this tournament, however it ends, I still think he eventually shatters Nicklaus's record. I think he is literally Tiger in a different body. So I just wanted to get that out of the way, because that's been brewing for a little while, and this is a perfect time to talk about it.
Yeah, no doubt. You can see similarities between those two. Both at a young age, coming out of the gate with winning the Masters, winning the U.S. Open so quickly, but then you kind of see him come back to life a little bit at this year's Masters with the whole debacle on 12, where it just completely fell apart. But I can definitely see a similarity between the two, because they're both so vocal on the course. You don't see Rory McIlroy screaming at himself. You don't see Ricky Fowler screaming at himself. But just a little bit ago, Jordan Spieth had a great approach shot onto the green, put some spin on it, and it spun all the way into the bunker. And he was like, how did that land in the bunker? And crap, really loud. All the microphones could hear it. So he has that fire in himself to kind of drive, and he's really driven to get to that next level, get that second straight U.S. Open, which hasn't been done since 1988. in 1989 when Curtis Strange, who's actually on the Fox crew for this U.S. Open at Oakmont. But what I'm really looking forward to this week is what is going to be the winning score. It was +5 back in 2007 when Angel Cabrera won it when the U.S. Open was their last. And this is a tough course with the weather, with kind of the stop and start that's been going on. It's going to be interesting to see who kind of comes out at the top when this is said and done. I mean, you got Bryson DeChambeau up there. I'm blanking on his name right now. Andrew Landry. He's up at the top right now at 5 under already. Even though this is in a delay right now, he's looked pretty good so far. But I don't think you're going to see many of these low scores as we go farther into the weekend, just because the course will get tougher, the pin locations will get tougher, and just it wears on you. This is a golf course that wears on you. But I'll give you my winner real quick. I'm going with Ricky Fowler. I don't like the way he started. He's already 3 over. But going into this, I thought he had the best chance. He can really drive the golf ball well. When he gets to the green, he can putt. He is the 5th best tee to green average on the tour. Throwing a little numbers at you right there. So I really liked how he was shaping up going into this. He hadn't won a major yet, but it just hasn't been a good start for him. But there's still a lot of golf left to be played, and who knows when they're going to get that going again with the thunderstorms in the area. But Ricky Fowler is my winner right now. I'm not going to backtrack on that, even though they've already gotten underway. I'll stick with Ricky Fowler, definitely.
Yeah, you can't backtrack your original pick. And, look, right now, 3 over is not that bad. Yes, he's 8 off the lead. But, you look at guys that are up there. Bubba Watson, I think, could be there to stay. Andrew Landry probably won't run away with this. If, he won't continue this pace. He won't finish 20-something under par. That's not going to happen. Like you said, this is a golf course that wears on you. It's going to run you down. It's a 7,300-yard par 70 course. That stuff you don't really play. That stuff doesn't really happen. That's a long course, and it's a par 70. So I think that's going to favor the long hitters like Bubba Watson. That's why I said he may be there to stay. And obviously guys that can make their putts, that will save you no matter what the course is. And that's why I'm picking Brandt Snedeker for my dark horse. Obviously, I think Jordan Spieth could win this, but if anyone can make a run and make it interesting, I think it's Snedeker. How's this for an analytic? His round 4 putts per round is 27.5, which is, I believe, there's that phone, 4 weeks in a row. Unbelievable. It seems as though it almost rings at the same time each week, but beside the point. His Snedeker's round 4 putts per round is 27.5, like I said, which is 0.7 lower on average than his next lowest, which is round 1. So if he can get off to a hot start today, I know this weather's crazy. He may not. We'll see. He starts off well and he stays consistent Friday, Saturday, makes the cut, and he's in the mix on Sunday. If his putter gets going like it usually does, he might be in the mix. I don't think he'll win, but he might be in the mix. Like, I think the winning score is going to be around even par. Like you said, Angel Cabrera, 5 over last time it was at Oakmont in 2008 or 7. But the winning score will not be 5 under like it is right now. It's going to be closer to even par. I don't know why these guys are shooting so well so far. It kind of caught me off guard, but it will creep up on them. The pin's going to get hard. The course is going to get tougher. It's going to wear you down. It's a long course, and you're a couple tee shots away from going double-double. So we'll see. But Brandt Snedeker is my dark horse because of his putting. Even though this course plays long, it'll favor guys like Bubba Watson, but I got Snedeker because putting can win you a tournament no matter where it is.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Bubba Watson and a long driver. Talk about Dustin Johnson, who, I mean, he hit this approach shot on 18 last year. I know that didn't really turn out well for him. He hit an approach shot about 300 yards with a 7-iron or something like that. I mean, it was just an insane shot. It didn't turn out well in the end for him, but this is a course where if he can drive some greens for sure. There's definitely drivable par 4s on this course. Saw Lee Westwood do it this morning. Just the putter let him down. So that's what it's going to come down to is are you going to be able to putt when you need to putt and stay out of the rough, because that rough is just mean. It is really bad rough. But my dark horse is going to be Smiley Coffin. I really like how he's been playing this year. Played really well at the Masters until the last day where he shot an 81. Kind of fell out of contention there, but he has 3 top 10s and 8 top 25s this year. So he's been playing some really good golf, kind of emerging as another one of those young stars. He won the Shriners Open back at the beginning of the year, so he's been off to a good start. Another guy I also want to mention is Bryson DeChambeau. He is brand new to the tour, played really well. He was the low amateur at the Masters this year. turned pro actually the next week and finished in the top 5. So this is a guy who's been playing really good golf, finished his college career with the U.S. Amateur, and won I believe the college golfer of the year last year. So he is playing some really good golf right now. He's 2 under so far. He's made some really long putts today, and that's what you need to do on this course. So look for him to stay in contention, but Smiley Coppin is my dark horse to make some noise in this tournament.
I like it. I like that a lot. He made a lot of noise in Augusta for the Masters, and I was very impressed. I can't remember exactly what he finished there, but I know he played well, and he was in it for actually a lot of the weekend, more than people thought, and he just wouldn't go away, even going into Sunday. So I like that pick a lot. Just a quick few numbers on this tournament. I know we've said most of them. The last 3 winners, just to brief you, in chronological order: Spieth, Martin Kaymer, Justin Rose. All very solid golfers. It's going to be probably a big name, big name that wins this tournament. I said 7,300-yard par 70 course for the Open. It's a 71, I think, regular with very tough greens right out of the gates too. Holes 1, 2, and 3, handicap 3, handicap 7, handicap 1, and the 4th hole is a 13 handicap hole, but it's over 600 yards. So right there, you got to hit the ball well, and you've got to hit it on a line. That could tear people up on Sunday. So keep an eye out for that when those guys start teeing off on 1. You go through hell right away. So there's that. Last time it was at Oakmont, we said it, 5 over Angel Cabrera on the 18th green for the win. And there's only been 1 playoff since 2001, and that was Tiger in 2008 at La Jolla, I believe. So who knows where this tournament's going to go. There have been some blowout wins. I think Kaymer won by 8 strokes. There have been some 1-stroke wins. I think Jordan Spieth had him by a stroke. There was that Cabrera by 1 stroke. Tiger Woods in the playoff. I don't know what to expect, but I think the scores are not going to be this low like they are today. But those are, Josh, I just got some numbers right there out of the way. If you've got anything, let's hear them. If not, let's move on to the NBA Finals.
Yeah, just one more point just on the U.S. Open. I mean, nobody I was watching Joe Buck interview Jordan Spieth during one of those delays this morning, and Jordan Spieth said it best. I mean, nobody has fun at these U.S. Opens unless you're the guy who's lifting that trophy at the end. That's exactly what Oakmont is going to give you. It's not fun. Chambers Bay was not fun last year. I was there. It's a big course, and it's all on a hill. I don't think anybody had fun there except for Jordan Spieth, who ended up lifting that trophy at the end. So whoever lifts that trophy at the end, he's the only guy that's most likely going to have fun this week, because this is just not a very kind course, and we haven't quite seen that yet on day one. But I feel like when the course hardens up a little bit, you're going to see that on Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully they can get things going again, because it's tough with all this stop and start, and we already might be looking at a Monday finish if this continues more today.
Yeah, and that would be unfortunate because there's nothing quite like Sunday afternoon golf. But that's that one thing on Jordan Spieth, that I forgot to mention earlier. He doesn't have fun until it's over. He doesn't have fun until he's hoisting that trophy or until he's lost, and then it's back to the weight room, back to the practice facility, and he's got to get going and get ready for the next one. So that's why I love Spieth. That's why I think he's going to win this tournament. But we'll have this conversation at a later date. Right now, we got to have probably our final talk on the NBA Finals. What a series this has been. I honestly can't put my finger on it. I said it last week. I'm pretty sure I said it the week before, and I'm not going to stop saying it now. There's really nothing to figure out. It's just one team shows up, the other team doesn't. And, there's a couple talking points we should get to on this, Josh. First question I'm going to ask you, is it over tonight, yes or no?
I mean, if Steph Curry's hitting his shots and Klay Thompson's hitting his shots and Draymond Green comes back and is effective, it could be. But I honestly just have no idea. It's just who's going to show up. Is LeBron going to hit his outside shots and be so dangerous? Because if he's hitting his shots from the perimeter, you got to give him a little bit more cushion when you're guarding him, and then he'll just blow right by you. So if LeBron is hitting his mid-range to outside shots, I think the Cavs win this game tonight, and it's going to go back to Golden State. But if he's struggling from the floor and Steph Curry's hitting his shots, it could be over tonight. It'll be interesting to see if they go with that so-called death lineup to start tonight with Andrew Bogut being out. Maybe they'll go with Festus Ezeli in the starting lineup. It'll be interesting to see what Steve Kerr goes with. But if the Warriors are hitting on all cylinders tonight, this series is over tonight.
I agree, and I think the ball, no pun intended, is in Steve Kerr's court here. I think he alone can win them this game, despite him obviously not playing on the court. Because with Bogut out, this is going to turn into a chess match with Tyronn Lue. These teams know each other so well. They've played 5 games this series. They played 6 games last year in the finals. They know each other as well as 2 teams in the NBA can possibly know each other. So this is really going to be a chess match between the coaches, and Steve Kerr is going to have to try some stuff out and see what works and what doesn't. But Mo Spates has to show up. He has been absolutely awful this entire series. I said it on Twitter. He is playing so far below anyone else's level in this series. It's almost inexcusable considering how well he played last year in the regular season and even this year at times. Anderson Varejao has been terrible. He's playing so soft. He's not playing physical. He can't score. He can't get a rebound. Festus Ezeli really now is all they have. And I like him. He's got size and he's got grit. And he can play physical when need be, but he has to show up. And I think he can be the X factor for them tonight. But Draymond Green has to come and play, and you know he will. You know Draymond Green will come to play after that game the other night. I can't remember what day that was. The time's getting away from me. But I know Draymond Green will come to play. I sure hope Steph Curry would come to play. I mean, for crying out loud, he's the MVP, 30 points a game. He's been nowhere to be seen except for 1 game so far, 1 out of 5. It's inexcusable. But, I mean, right now the X factor is Steve Kerr. It really is. And whoever he throws out there, they have to show up. And if they are showing up, he's got to make changes. So he's going to be he's going to have a long night. And I do not want to be in his position because that is a lot of pressure. But I don't see Golden State dropping 2 games in a row, especially with Draymond Green back. Despite Bogut being gone, they gain a lot with Draymond being back. And they did nothing right the other night. And they still were in it for – not really in it, but the score was close for most of the game. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be a coaching chess match, and that's my favorite type of game, when you got 2 coaches just going at it. And I think that's what's going to decide the game. Not obviously jump shots getting hit by LeBron, Steph, and Clay, whatnot, but the coaching chess match to me is what's going to decide this game in the end. And I have the Warriors winning.
Yeah, and another interesting kind of situation to look at is how Kevin Love is used tonight, because I believe, if I have understood correct, I was watching SportsCenter today. He was on the court when Kevin Love was on the court, the Cavs were plus 18 than when he was off the court. But he only scored, I believe, 5 points, or I mean, he was just non-existent in game. What game is that? Game 5 on Monday night. So is he going to be used as a decoy? Or are they going to bring in Iman? Oh, he had 2 points. So even worse than just that 5 points. So he was just non-existent. So, I mean, he was kind of used as a decoy because he stretches the floor a little bit. He can get you a rebound here and there. But it'll be interesting to see how Tyronn Lue uses him tonight, especially going up against a Warriors team that's probably going to try to play small and run the floor. You might have to see if they play big tonight, maybe bring in Timothy Mozgov a little earlier tonight. Tristan Thompson will probably play a big role because they're going to get a lot of rebounds without Andrew Bogut on the floor. But just that matchup of bigs or maybe non-bigs for the Warriors is going to be really interesting to see. But Draymond's going to have to play. A triple-double would not surprise me tonight because he's going to have to crash the boards. And you know he can shoot. You know he can dish it out. So Draymond's going to be a big key tonight as well for the Warriors.
And I love that name drop of Timofey Mozgov. That's a great analysis right there. Because last year, to me, he was one of their MVPs throughout the playoffs. He out-physicaled everyone, and he out-hustled everyone. And right now is a perfect time for him to check in early and take over that game on the rebounding on the glass. Because if he can do that and not cancel out Draymond but limit him on the glass, I think Cleveland can win this game. So Timofey Mozgov, great name drop. I can't say that enough. He's going to be a huge difference maker because Kevin Love hasn't played well, and LeBron James can only do so much and whatnot. I think Timofey Mozgov and Tristan Thompson being in the game, Cleveland can afford to go big. They're on their home court. They can get behind them. They may be shooting hot. They can afford to go big against Golden State's small lineup because of what Mozgov and Thompson can do on the glass. So I love that. It's going to be a chess match, and I would watch out for when Mozgov checks into the game, because if he checks in early, that's going to be Cleveland's opportunity to pull away and just shut Golden State out completely. So keep an eye out for that when he comes in, if he ever comes in the first half. But I think that's when the game could shift one way or another. Josh, next question. Let's keep this kind of brief. But it is a tough question, so we can take whatever time we need, but let's move at a pace. Who has been the MVP thus far? I mean, you look at it, you could say Draymond's been the most valuable, but we learned that because he didn't play and Golden State got embarrassed. So to you, if this series ends tonight, who are you giving the MVP to?
I mean, you just said his name. It's got to be Draymond Green. I mean, you've had Steph Curry, who's really just hasn't been there. He's still averaging 22 points, which is still fantastic, but it's not the MVP level, unanimous MVP level that he was at the beginning of the season or during the season. Klay Thompson has been good. It'd probably be 1A and 1B with Klay Thompson and Draymond Green in my book. But Draymond Green, I mean, you saw it in Game 5. He wasn't there, and they lost by 16 or whatever it was at home. So it's going to be interesting to see who they end up giving this to. I feel like whoever, or if the Warriors close it out tonight, whoever has a big game tonight could just end up snatching it. But right now, I've got to give it to Draymond Green. He's been so dynamic. He's been their enforcer, obviously, with that little spat with LeBron James the other night. He's been there when this team has needed him. He's come up with clutch shots. So I got to give it to Draymond Green. And it says most valuable player. He's been the most valuable player so far in the series.
I agree with you. It'd be tough not to give it to him. But if this series ends tonight, I think if Klay goes out and drops 35 or Steph goes out and drops 40, you might have to give it to them because with Bogut out, you could argue that someone needed to step up, and there it was. I think also if no one really shows up tonight and everyone's pretty consistent, Steph may get it by default. But I also don't want to rule out Andre Iguodala because he's doing stuff on the stat sheet that doesn't show up. And if you really watch the game, the way he defends everyone on the court and the way, like, watching him defend LeBron is a game in itself. If you can appreciate good defense tonight, I want you to just focus on Andre Iguodala guarding LeBron because it's just unbelievable from a basketball fan standpoint. I have nothing but incredible respect for what he's doing. He's one of the best defenders in the league, and the way he guards LeBron on the drive and the way he forces him out of lanes and the way that he can cut him off when LeBron's trying to cut to the hoop, it's unbelievable. I can't help but sit back and admire the job he's doing on defense, and none of that stuff shows up on the stat sheet. So we'll see how analytical or statistical the voters are, but we'll see. Right now, it's probably going to be Draymond unless someone goes off tonight. It could be Steph by default, but I want Iguodala to get some love. So having him go off for 25 and 8 tonight would not be a bad thing. But I agree with you. Draymond's probably the favorite at this point. And we'll ask another situational question. If it ends tonight, real quickly, Josh, does Cleveland's big three, do you think stays intact next year?
I think it's going to turn into a big two with LeBron and Kyrie, and I think Kevin Love is completely replaceable. I mean, trading him for Andrew Wiggins maybe at the time was a good idea, but now you see it you kind of see it in the broader picture. I mean, hindsight is 2020. But Kevin Love has been very replaceable in this series. I mean, even though he's been plus 18 or was plus 18 last game, and he has come up with some big performances, I feel like you could still get that from another type of player. So maybe you look to trade Kevin Love, but I don't know how their whole contract situation is looking right now. I don't know if Kyrie I don't think Kyrie's a free agent after this year. I don't know if LeBron James ended up signing a 2-year deal or a 1-year deal with an option or whatever it was. But I would look to keep LeBron and Kyrie together and maybe, so a player option this year. So I do think LeBron is going to stay in Cleveland. He cannot leave this place again. Kyrie, I think, is probably going to stay. But Kevin Love, I think you got to look to trade him maybe in the draft. Try to move up a little bit, get a nice young star because there are a lot of them in this draft. Or maybe just look elsewhere. Maybe a Jimmy Butler. Maybe he comes in. I know you don't want to hear that as a Bulls fan, but he's been rumored around with the Timberwolves potentially trading for that number 5 pick. So there's a lot of moving pieces here. I do think Kevin Love is replaceable, so I would look to maybe trade him, but I do think LeBron and Kyrie both stay in Cleveland.
I agree 100%. You're just not getting bang for your buck with Kevin Love. This is a guy that was a 19-12 power forward who won a 3-point shootout when you got him, and now he scores 2 points in the NBA Finals in a critical game. I mean, obviously they won the game, but had Kyrie and LeBron not careered that night, they would have needed him to score more than 2 points. But I think I agree with you that Kevin Love is replaceable, and you can get a guy who's producing just as much for about half the price and go out and get some other shooters to come off the bench. Because right now, Cleveland's pretty thin to me. Channing Frye's not doing much. Richard Jefferson's not producing a lot. Mozgov isn't playing as much as he should. Dellavedova's not the same guy he was last year. Go out and get a shooter to come off the bench. I don't care who it is. It doesn't have to be a Kyle Korver. But get like a Jason Capono of 2009 to just come off the bench and hit a couple threes, sit back down, play some defense, whatever. Give you 10, 12 minutes, 8, 9, 10 points. That's what Cleveland's missing. They don't have that depth right now. And if Golden State were healthy, this whole series would be over as far as I'm concerned. If Bogut didn't go down and if Draymond weren't suspended, this would have ended in 5, no doubt in my mind. So Cleveland it was given a gift in 2 ways the other night with Bogut going down and Draymond being back. So if they lose tonight, they've got some reconstructing to do. But we'll revisit that when free agency opens after the draft, and we'll see what happens. But for now, that's pretty much all we had for the finals. Josh, quick pick tonight. I know no one has any idea what to expect. Real quick, one-word response. Who do you have winning?
Warriors.
I agree. I can't disagree. Draymond Green back is just too big. So, all right, that does it for the NBA Finals. We're doing our what to watch for. Josh, I'll start us off. I just got a couple brief things. Sounded like you had some more specifics. Copa America quarterfinals tonight. USA, I believe, is on the pitch tonight, 8:30 Central, if I'm not mistaken. That's going on. Euro going on. US Open, obviously. NBA Finals tonight, just talked about it. Cubs Pirates locally, weekend series, NL Central battle starting up tomorrow. It's crazy. I mean, we are so right. And Colin Cowherd didn't give us credit, but he definitely stole from us the other day on a show. He said that this is probably the best time of the year right now, that we have so much going on. It's hard not to love it. So that's what I got. Josh, what do you got?
I got that Copa America game. It's in Seattle. I'm going tonight. Really pumped up to go. I even hung up the American flag behind me. So big night tonight on the pitch just for United States soccer. If they win, they're probably setting up a matchup with Argentina, which is always interesting to look at. But over to the baseball diamond, Cubs Pirates this weekend, like you mentioned, big series in the NL Central. The Cubs can try to create some more distance between themselves and the Pirates. Tigers Royals. I feel like the AL Central hasn't been talked about a whole lot, but the Royals are right now tied for the division lead. The Tigers are 2 games back. Maybe I have that switch. I don't remember exactly, but nonetheless, top 2 teams in the AL Central tied with the Indians at the top. So that's an interesting series. And then a flashback of a World Series a couple of years ago with the Rangers and the Cardinals in St. Louis. So that's another fun series. Also starting up this weekend is the College World Series. So you're going to have a lot of baseball coming at you this weekend. A lot of good MLB and a lot of good college baseball. I don't know if any of the viewers or you, Michael, were watching the Super Regionals last weekend. Those were really exciting to watch. Walk-off grand slam by Santa Barbara. Coastal Carolina had a walk-off at LSU. So a lot of fun college baseball going on. Really interested to see what happens there. A lot of good teams. So kind of baseball's on my mind this weekend, along with some soccer and some golf. So just a lot of stuff going on. It's fun to be a sports fan right now.
Absolutely. And we'll say it again, most wonderful time of the year. This trumps March right now, honestly. It trumps March. I'll go out and say it. It doesn't compete with the excitement, but you never get bored. If you're bored of soccer, baseball. If you're bored of baseball, golf. If you're bored of golf, college baseball. If you're bored of college baseball, NBA Finals. We got everything. There's soccer tournaments going on 2 different continents. Unbelievable. Done with that. I can't say it enough. Power rankings time. We're going to take everybody back to Bloomington. We're very excited for this one. We miss it probably just as much as you guys do, even though it's been just over a month. And we still have 2 months till we get back there. We'd like to be back there. We're very sure you'd like to be back there. We're going to take you back. We're going to talk about our favorite. Josh, did you do 5 or 3 for this? We're going to talk about our favorite Bloomington landmarks or places. Did you do 5 or 3?
I did 3 for this one.
Okay. I had 5 ready, but my first 2, I can cut one of them and make the other one an honorable mention because one of them was barely on there. So I'll start because I've got that extra one. My honorable mention, and hear me out on this. Don't write me off right away. My honorable mention is Ballantyne. And here's why. Say what you want. It is a landmark for people that are in school there. Everyone's got a class in Ballantyne. I think I had 4 or 5 this past year alone, and I get it. I'm a freshman taking a lot of gen eds, what have you, but 5 classes in one building. I'm not alone. There are people probably with more. Obviously, there are people with less, but it is a landmark. Say whatever you want. My aunt and uncle talked to me when I got home. They went to IU. They lived just down the street. They're talking to me about it. They said, how many classes did you have in Valentine? I said, I think like 4 or 5. They're like, yeah, me too. We did too. Does it still look the same? They were talking about it, describing it. I'm like, it sounds the exact same. It sounds like they haven't done any work since the 90s. So Valentine, everyone's got classes there. It hasn't changed a bit in forever. If you have a class on the 5th floor like I did for almost every single class except for one this year, those stairs alone prevent the freshman 15. So that you got to love Valentine. It's saving you. It's getting you in shape. It's preventing you from putting on the freshman 15, and you're always there. It's almost like a second home within Bloomington. So that's my honorable mention is Valentine. I feel like it's got to get some respect.
I mean, thinking about it now, I guess when you go to IU, everybody has a. My mom went there. She had class in there. Joe Buck came to speak to some media school kids back in, I believe, April. He had class in Valentine, said it hasn't changed. So I guess Valentine is a solid one. But my number 3, this might get a little bit of flack on this show. My number 3 is Assembly Hall. It didn't come up at the top just because when you look at Bloomington as a whole and you just look at the outside of that building, I mean, sure, it's a cool building, but it's just a big white building. So there's not a whole lot to it from the outside, but now I guess there's going to be with the renovation, and that's looking like it's cool. But right now, Assembly Hall coming at number 3. There's no doubt it's the best arena in the country. But in terms of Bloomington landmarks, it doesn't quite live up to the other 2 that are on my list that are just kind of, when you think of Indiana, that's kind of what you think of. So we'll get to the top 2 in a second. But right now, number 3 is Assembly Hall.
Yeah, and I actually left Assembly Hall out of the list because it's probably number 1. But then again, like you said, it's not exactly a Bloomington landmark. It's only in effect from November to early March. And other than that, it's just kind of sitting there hosting practices. But I left it out just because I didn't want to, flirt with that fine line. My number 3 is the Showalter Fountain. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous in the spring, and a great spot, center of campus, very centrally located. It's a very, very nice and relaxing spot to study. I studied for a midterm outside of there for about an hour and a half, and then walked in and did well. So, I mean, maybe some Showalter magic right there. But Showalter's a great spot. You pass it when you're walking to most places. You see it when you're going to the Hyper. You see it when you're going to the Union, depending on where you're coming from. But Showalter's a great spot. In the springtime with all the flowers and stuff blooming, it is absolutely gorgeous. Showalter Fountain, number 3.
No, that's a solid one right there, because when you're looking west and the sun's setting and you got the water going, great spot right there. But my number 2, I'm going with the IMU. I mean, when you think of Indiana and you just kind of look at campus, that's the place. It's the central hub. It's probably the tallest building on campus. If you go up to the top floor, I mean, you can see everything from up there. It's pretty cool. I mean, you got the Starbucks in there. It's the busiest Starbucks in Monroe County, I'm pretty sure. I mean, if you have a meeting, it's probably going to be in the Union. If you just need to go kill some time, you're probably just going to go to the Union and kill some time if it's not the library. I mean, just anything you need, you probably just go straight to the Union. It's the central hub of campus, and it's a landmark. It even has a hotel in there. So much in the Union, and it's right in the middle of campus. So that's my number 2 Bloomington landmark.
Yeah, that's my number 2 as well, and I fear we've got a similar top 2, but we'll see where it goes. But absolutely, and the Union's I spent more time in the Union this year probably than I did in my dorm when I wasn't sleeping. So there's that, take that however you want. But, the Union's got a charm to it. It's got, a bunch of food options. I went there for lunch 3 times a week between classes, went there to study, went there for meetings, went there for tutoring, all that stuff. The Union, it's got it all. It's kind of makes you feel like you're at home. It's got a certain charm to it. I can't really put my finger on it, but it's got a certain charm to it that just makes you want to keep going back. And it's got, the bookstore is incredible, great selection of clothes and apparel and IU swag and whatnot. So I love the Union. It's the greatest Union in the country. They'll tell you that on your orientation tour if you're a rising freshman, and they don't lie. It's the absolute truth. So that's my number 2 is the IMU.
Yeah, can't go wrong with the IMU right there. But my number 1, I'm sure it's going to be yours. I kind of combine these 2 because they go hand in hand. It's Sample Gates and Kirkwood Avenue. Doesn't get more Indiana, Bloomington than that. I mean, when you see pictures of campus, it's Sample Gates. When it's when it's snowing and there's snow on the ground and it's a nice night, you take a picture. It's really cool. And then in the spring and the summer, when there's flowers there, great setting. When the sun's setting on Kirkwood Avenue, nothing like it. And obviously, I mean, you got Kilroy's, you got Nick's, you got Village Deli, you got Cafe Pizzeria, you got all those stores. And then you walk up the street. I was there during graduation for my cousin's graduation. Everybody takes pictures next to the sample gates. It's just an iconic Bloomington spot. So that's my number one. Not much else to say about that one.
Yeah, that's my number one too. It sells itself, and people who went to IU and people who know IU and have been to Bloomington know all about the sample gates. But in order just to avoid repetition, I'm going to make my case right now for the Arboretum. You could certainly put that, wherever you want on this list. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it has a tree from every county in the state of Indiana. I've heard that from multiple people, and I believe it because there's labels and stuff like that. But I believe it. If that's true, that's unbelievable. If you're from Indiana, you've got a tree from your home county. I love it. I'm not, so I can't relate to it. But if I were, I'm sure that's probably where I'd find shade if I'm trying to study out there. But it's got a bunch of open space. People toss the frisbee. People toss football. You can play catch bait with baseball mitt. Baseball. You can do whatever you want. You can go for a run through it. You can sit there. You can. I've seen people catch rays in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon in April. You can do whatever you want. It's just an open space. It's gorgeous. It's right behind wells. So if you want to study, you can do that and then go catch some fresh air. You can do whatever you want in the Arboretum. It's centrally located as well, not too far from the Union, not too far from downtown. Both walking distance, and then Yogi's is the other way, which is an absolutely fantastic spot where we all actually got to meet each other at Assembly Call for the first time ever, which was absolutely awesome. Hope we could do it again next year. But the Arboretum is not my number one. It's the sample gates, but here I am making a case for it. I'm almost selling myself. So the Arboretum just got cut at number 4. So that wasn't my top 5, but it didn't make the case for my top 3. And I got beat out by Ballantyne for my honorable mention. But Arboretum, you could certainly argue it. It's a great spot. It's Bloomington. It's outdoors. It's gorgeous, and that's all I got. It's just got that charm. It's got that charm.
Yeah, I mean, you walk through it when you're going up to Fee Lane or Fee Mountain, as people call it. You walk through it all the time, and I believe that was the former spot of Memorial Stadium before they built the big stadium up on 17th. That was Memorial Stadium. There's a rock, I believe, right as you walk through that little gazebo thing right off 10th Street. There's a little rock right there. It said former spot of Memorial Stadium. So another little fun fact: the Arboretum, also another great Bloomington landmark. Right next to Wells, another great Bloomington landmark.
There you go. I mean, we've got too many. We should have done a top 10, honestly. There's just too many to talk about. But that just about does it for us. Let us know. We're just freshmen. We were only there for 9 months, so we don't know all the spots in Bloomington. We just kind of covered the spots in and around campus. If you guys have other stuff like the Quarry or something, Crescent Donut, if you love going there, let us know on Twitter. That's mine right there. Josh's is at Josh Easter, or you could find us together at the Hoosier Life. Let us know. We'd love to interact with you guys, share some experiences, share some stories. We'd love to talk about them, possibly on air at a later date, maybe next week, a couple weeks from now, maybe even when we get back to school, we'll have you guys on if you've got a good enough story. So tweet at us. Let us know what you got. Give us your top 3, your top 5. If you have 10, give us your top 10. If you've got honorable mentions, give us your honorable mentions. Tell us where you love to go and where you'd love to be back. And we'll take you back there once we get there. We'll send some pictures. We'll tweet some pictures. We're going to make you guys feel at home again when we get back down there in late August. So that about does it for us today. Another great week in sports. June is the best month of the year, I think we've already learned, and the U.S. Open just about caps it off. So that does it for us. Hopefully we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to tweet, follow us on Twitter, subscribe online, and we will see you guys soon.